If you're running ads and not seeing results, it's not the algorithm hating you. It's usually one of 5 things that causes it to break down and not work. Today I'm going to go over the 5 most common reasons ads don't work and why they're in the red and not the green. Working with over 100 companies and running thousands of ads, one of the biggest issues that we see is people are running ads for the wrong objective. They're running traffic when they want sales. They're trying for sales when they want more awareness and new people to find out about what their product is. Typically in all ad platforms, there's an objective. Are you trying to go for reach, traffic, purchases, or a multitude of other things? This is what you need to decide and put this in. And if you're running ads and don't know what your objectives are, we've already figured out the first issue. So when you're building your next ad, make sure you're wondering, am I trying to drive cold traffic? Do people know who I am, or do I need more people to find out about my business, product, or service? Or am I trying to get people that might already know about me to purchase? Or are you trying to do all of those 3 things in one? It's a lot more difficult, but it's absolutely doable. Until you hit a certain threshold, and then just that one ad type won't work anymore. So your base strategy that works for most companies would be running a traffic campaign for people to find out who you are and to check out your product. Number 2, a sales campaign to try to get them to buy that product. And number 3, a retargeting campaign for those that have seen your product, have interacted with your ads, but didn't purchase. They might have even went to your website, put the product in the cart, and abandoned it. We want to make sure we don't lose those people and we keep following up with them until they buy the product. Let's go on to step number 2. The second reason a lot of people's ads are failing is because they're not going after the right avatar. Who is your perfect avatar? Are you targeting a person that actually wants to buy it, or are you just targeting the most broad umbrella approach that you can to telling everybody in the world about your product? And maybe not everybody would want to buy it. Are you targeting a mother with children, a father that's single, somebody younger that wants to travel and see the world, or somebody that's a little bit later in life and you're just trying to make their life easier? All of these things can be controlled while running ads, but if you're running ads and not targeting the right avatar, or you haven't even done enough research or testing to figure out who your avatar is, this might be another reason why your ads are failing. So let's make sure we're targeting the correct avatar when running ads. So if step 1 you failed and step 2 you failed, we're probably on the right track to fixing your ads. So let's make sure in 2026 we're not targeting a broad audience. Let's try to be as specific as possible so you're not wasting your money showing people what's important to you but not to them. Number 3 is the math gap. I know we all hated math in school, but in business, it really is your best friend when you're trying to scale and grow. So now we need to talk about budget versus reality. If you're selling a $10,000 item, is it reasonable to think you're going to get somebody to purchase for $10, $100, $1,000, $2,500? This is known as CAC, customer acquisition cost. And if you don't know what the CAC is for your business, you really should know this before running ads so you don't get deterred and stressed out that your ads aren't working when maybe they are, you just haven't spent enough money. This is where we really need to understand your goals, dreams, ambitions, and what's really going to make you money, and at what point are you making money, breaking even, or losing. A simple way to do this currently is take all the money you spend in marketing, time, even take your time, the hours spent, multiply your hourly rate to this, and put all that into branding and marketing to try to get new clients. What all energy is going towards new clients? What is that valued at? Divide that by how many new clients you're getting, and that'll give you a good idea of what your cost per acquisition cost is. What we usually do here at High Speed Media when we have this conversation with the client is we try to figure out a reasonable cost per acquisition. Another thing to note is, what is the lifetime value? A lot of business will actually break even or lose money on the first time somebody buys from you, uses your service. Maybe if you're a month-to-month service like we are, hopefully they break even after the first month, and then from there on out, you're making money. If they only buy from you once ever and they may never return, then that is their lifetime value. If they are potentially signing up to pay you every month or yearly or multiple times a year, then the lifetime value is much greater, and you can pay way more to get this client in the door because you know you're going to make more money from them later on. Based on a lot of services and products having about a 50% profit margin, a good expectation is to spend about 10% to get a new client. So if you have a $1,000 item you're selling, spending $100 to get them probably isn't unreasonable. You're going to have a pretty positive ROI. If you're selling a $10,000 or $20,000 roof, for instance, spending $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to get a new client wouldn't be that bad if you're selling something that's worth $20,000. You just think about that. If every time we spend $1,000, we could get a $10,000 customer, I think you would do that over and over and over again. This is the vending machine, right? You put 1,000 in, you get 10,000 back. So then the question really is, how many do you want? And this is the expectation, right? I think if I put 1,000 in, I need 10 new customers. Well, is that realistic? Or do I need to spend 10,000 to get 100,000 worth of new leads if we're talking about a $10,000 client? So let's make sure we have reasonable expectations when running ads. So that sums up number 3. And in 2026, let's figure out some numbers before we start running ads so we know if they're working or not once we start getting results. Number 4, we're gonna talk about the hard truth, unfortunately. If you're doing all these things, you know all these numbers, and you're just not making money, unfortunately, the product or the price might suck. So let's make sure we're pricing it accordingly to how good or how much value this product or service is. If you're getting way too many to say yes, it might be the other side. You might need to raise your prices, and then this is when it gets fun and you make some more profit. We've seen many times that people set a price on a product just because they pull out of thin air. They hope that it will make sense, and unfortunately they haven't built in any money for marketing the product or overhead or any of that type of stuff, which is okay when you're trying to get a product off the ground. But as your overhead goes up, your price might need to as well, and hopefully the product keeps selling as the brand and the awareness grows around the product and how good it is. So having an intro pricing and raising it later may help you build in some budget for actually promoting the product and continuing to grow sales. What's really nice about running social media ads is you can do this very quickly and easily to test this. Try different products, try different price points, and I'll give you a little tip here that some people won't even share. Even try putting a higher price on the website and putting it immediately on discount, say 10, 20%, and making it look like it's on sale. You might see your conversion rate go up. Also, by raising the price, if you continue to get sales, this gives you more budget to double down on trying to sell more. Now, if we've dialed in all the last 4 items, number 5 could be number 1 if you know what you're doing. And that's the ad creative. Now on Google Ads, you don't get to mess with this too much. You know, some wording and then the title, and you can go out to certain keywords. But on social media, this could be the most powerful thing. Changing the ad creative could dramatically change your results. You could see a cost per purchase go from $20, $30 down to $1 or $2 if you do this correctly. And supply and demand is there. So if you have an ad that's working, our job as an agency, or yours as the business owner and the one running the ads, needs to be, how do I lower this? If I try a different creative, can I lower the cost per purchase by 10%? Can I lower the cost per landing page view by 10%? And then if that works, how do I do that again to lower it by another 10%? How do you keep driving the cost down so you get more results for the same budget? The same idea goes for making viral content and organic. If you put out the right piece of content, you might get a huge influx of new people knowing about your product, going to your website, looking at it, and potentially even buying. But this is where the ad kicks in. You can always retarget those people and try to get them to buy if they forget about the product. Here's a pro tip. If you have a piece of organic content that does extremely well, take that piece of content, create an ad around it, make sure that there's a call to action and a hook, and then run that as an ad. Because you already know the creative works, this should help lower your cost per result. Now that we've went over the top 5 reasons why we see digital ads typically not working, remember, ads aren't magic. It's an amplifier of what you're already doing. So if you're crushing it and you run ads, you'll probably crush it even more. If you're not sure if your product, business, or idea works, ads are a great way to proof a business before deep diving and spending or wasting a whole lot of money. I think one of the funnest hacks is running ads for an idea that I have to see if it'll even work, and then if it works, going all in on it. If you learned something in this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.